our country became independent, free on August 15th, 1947. And so again, Gandhiji was our leader. He advocated the principle of non-violence, and so no war was fought for the attainment of freedom. No bloodshed was there for the attainment of freedom. Our non-cooperation and ahimsa were the only weapons used. But do you know what happened after the attainment of freedom? See, once we attained the freedom on August 15th, we have to accept the partition rule. See, it was a shocking news for the people of India. That is, one fine morning, Indians heard that their country is going to be divided into two, India and Pakistan. And it is a purely religious division. See, actually the decision was taken on the eve of India's independence. Our great leaders have to accept it. But it was a great shock to the ordinary people of India, because before that there is no difference between a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian. We lived here as brothers and sisters. Together we fought for our freedom. But once the freedom was attained, our country has to be divided, has to be partitioned. And so suddenly our people became restless. Then it was said that people were instructed that Muslims from India have to migrate to Pakistan, and from Pakistan, Hindus have to come back to India. India will be counted as a Hindu country and Pakistan a Muslim country. And when these people crossed the border, there was migration and counter migration. And when they crossed the border, and when these Hindus and Muslims see face to face, they attacked each other. And in the 3 or 4 months following independence, so many people were killed, so many were wounded, and public property was destroyed on a large scale. Mahatma Gandhi was very sad. He was working day in and day out, talking to every person about the need of partition. And after 4 months, the situation was nearly under control. But by that time, so many innocent people lost their lives. But even now, the issue continues. And India and Pakistan, we are not happy with each other. We are fighting with each other, and US supports Pakistan. And so that is actually the attitude of the US. Wherever there is a clash, they will try to intensify it. And so the issues between India and Pakistan is pointed out as the first example. And then again, you will see Arundhati Roy talking about nationalism. I have hinted about it earlier, how governments are very cunning, how they preach people, how they make people, how they force them to become nationalistic by instilling national feelings in them, making them self-centered. And then finally, towards the end of that paragraph, she again refers to the Kargil war against Pakistan. And so that is people, see, nationalism is used as a trick. Who is using the trick? Government is using the trick. For what? In order to make the people narrow-minded and to fight against anybody who comes out of their nation. And then because of the feelings of nationalism, actually the issues between India and Pakistan became more severe. And then you can see in the coming paragraph, see, you have the text before you. I told you it's a very lengthy one. You cannot read it, but at home you have to read each and every line. But all the important points I will be mentioning in the course of my lecture. Okay, and so then Arundhati Roy talks about Americanism and Anti-Americanism. I told you about it before. That is, whoever supports America and their ideas, they are favored by the American government and they are collectively called the Americans. And people who are hostile towards America, who criticize America, they are called anti-Americans. And see, Arundhati Roy goes on explaining about the Americans and the anti-Americans. And then again, she makes again another statement. If you are not a Bushi, you are a Taliban. If you don't love us, you hate us. If you are not good, you are evil. If you are not with us, you are with the terrorists. And so that is the approach of the US government. Actually, if you don't support Bush, if you don't support the US government, then you are counted to be a Taliban. You are counted to be an aggressive group. You are considered to be a terrorist group. And so there is nothing midway between. Either you love America, appreciate America, or you hate America. And if you love America, then you will be counted as an American. Otherwise, you will be an anti-American, and then you will be a terrorist. And then she refers to, once again, the September 11 attacks. I told you about the September 11 attacks in 2001, where the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, everything was destroyed. And again, how nearly 3,000 people were killed. And much public property was destroyed. And Arundhati Roy talks at length about it. And then she talks about the war against Iraq. That is another, the next point that she is talking about, the next point that she presents before us. She talks about Americans, anti-Americans, how Americans consider people who stand against them as terrorists. Again, she recalls the great attacks on 11th September 2001. And again, she talks about the war against Iraq. And then in the war against Iraq, see, whenever US makes a war, see, immediately the excuse is that, see, they others are all terrorists, and so they should be crushed. That is the attitude of America. And then, see, the next point that she mentions, that comes in page number 76. I'm mentioning the important points from the speech. That is, here you will hear Arundhati Roy talking about the people of Chile. It's a place in the United States. How the people of Chile suffered the dictator Pinochet, General Pinochet, for a long period of 17 years. See how US government supports the dictator is explained well by Arundhati Roy. Remember, she makes the speech standing on the platform in New Mexico, United States. So daring, so bold she is. She talks about the people of Chile. Actually, the democratic government, the elected government, Salvador Allende, See, the elected democratic government was overthrown by the dictator General Pinochet. And see, this happened nowhere else in the world but in the United States of America. And then here for 17 years, people of Chile suffered greatly by this dictator. And finally, after 17 years, when Chile was able to regain its democracy, at that time investigations were made, and everybody in the different parts of the world understood that CIA, what is CIA? The Central Intelligence Agency, the US government organization that secretly collects information about other countries. And so that is CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, was behind the attack on the democratic government of Allende. Actually, what happened is that General Pinochet captured the government. He overthrew the democratically elected government. And President Allende was seen lying dead in the presidential palace. We don't know whether Pinochet has killed him or whether Allende has committed suicide. And so in Chile, remember it is in the United States. And it also happened in the 11th of September 1973. And so all these atrocities has happened on September 11th.